This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, July 17. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Our top story, a foreign national accused of skimming money from two financial institutions will spend the next few weeks at Her Majesty's Prison, Dodds. Argentinian national Joaquim Alberto Lobo appeared in the District A Magistrates Court before Magistrate Christy Sergeant, charged with 2 counts of theft of money. The 33-year-old accused pleaded not guilty to stealing $3,040 in cash belonging to the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union Limited between July 6 and 7. He was, however, not required to plead to the indictable charge of stealing $79,770 in cash belonging to the CIBC First Caribbean International Bank. He returns to court on August 14. In other news this Wednesday, the island is facing a tough battle against the Sargassum seaweed, inundating the island's northern and eastern coastlines. And according to Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey, government will have to return to the drawing board to find a solution. He made the comments while speaking at a CARICOM workshop on conservation and sustainable use of marine biodiversity.
We all agreed in principle to ban plastics. We believe it is the right thing to do. But to ask people to give it up, that real adaptive work, it's really challenges. I have a friend who is a doctor. And he told me most people don't die because of the operation. They die because of the fact that they have to change their practices after the operation. So a person who had something to save their lungs will still go back to smoking. And it is not the technical fix. It is the nature of the adaptive work that people must do that is difficult. So people agree that we should ban plastics. But in reality, it seems a very difficult task.
If Barbados is to get a bigger slice of the multi-billion-dollar international cruise industry, then this country's tourism product needs to be urgently refreshed. That's according to the findings of the final report of the National Cruise Development Commission. Speaking from the Senate floor this morning, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, laid out the findings, which included low visitor satisfaction and a decline in consumer interest, among other things.
The report also looked at the infrastructure within Barbados in order to operate cruise tourism at an optimal level. It most definitely spoke about the port and the deficiencies at the port. And I think we scored out of 34 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean which we surveyed. In terms of the welcome at the port of entry, I think we were at number 29. So it is definitely an area where we have to work on. And of course, in terms of the cruise infrastructure, and certainly those of you who read the report will see that there's indication that there should be a massive expansion or indeed a cruise ship facility.
Government plans to transform Barbados into a smart society are in train. Today, Minister of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, Senator Keir McConney, told the upper chamber that building out a smart Bridgetown is already underway under Phase 1. Smart Bridgetown will feature free internet access for Bridgetown, smart parking on streets adjoining Broad Street, and a mobile app that will facilitate tourist engagement.
We have already started working with the Royal Barbados Police Force, with Lands and Surveys Department, and together we have identified those streets in Bridgetown where the first pilot of the smart parking will begin. And it's a whole of government approach. We have met with the businesses in Bridgetown and a number of other stakeholders, and we have mapped out the areas which will be the first area for coverage. And it is important that we not only speak to Bridgetown proper and speak to the businesses, but homes, families that are in the Bridgetown area must also be able to benefit in this initial stage, because people have to matter in this entire movement towards a smart Barbados.
Independent Senator Althea Wiggins has been appointed as the Prime Minister's Special Envoy to Suriname. The announcement was made by President of the Senate, Sir Richard Cheltenham, after the end of today's debate in the Senate. Cheltenham said her duties will involve traveling between Bridgetown and Paramaribo, but she won't be resigning from the Senate to carry out her duties. Prior to her appointment to the upper house, Wiggins served as a former Deputy High Commissioner to London under a Democratic Labour Party government.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back to Regional News Now. The Trinidad and Tobago government insists there will be no state of emergency in the face of 9 homicides in 48 hours. National Security Minister Stuart Young says the police service will be engaging in more aggressive and sustained policing. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News tells us more.
7 people killed in 24 hours. It's the second time for the year. The first time was in January. Instructions have been given to police to initiate a squeeze against criminal elements. Expect more joint police and army patrols. But government maintains it will not call a state of emergency, a tactic used by the People's Partnership in August 2011, following 11 murders in 48 hours.
Absolutely not. The government is not looking at state of emergency. It's also a fallacy that you can call limited states of emergencies in certain areas. That doesn't exist in law. You call a state of emergency, it's countrywide.
National Security Minister Stuart Young wants to keep up the pressure.
Every time we have these incidents, so what you would find is when we're putting the pressure on, you see the drop and you see the decrease. As soon as that eases up, you have these sporadic spurts. So what I've asked is we find a way to maintain it for sustainability.
Young notes the murders, except for that of local theatre icon Raymond Chukong, were committed with illegal firearms. He says the bail amendment bill, which is in the Senate, would assist with that if passed. And he urges the public to put more pressure on politicians to ensure that it is.
On the international scene, a U.S. judge has sentenced Mexican drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman to life in prison plus 30 years. 62-year-old Guzman was found guilty of 10 charges, including drug trafficking and money laundering, by a federal court in New York in February. Prosecutors said Guzman will be serving his sentence behind tons of steel, referring to a high-security prison in Colorado. Guzman's lawyer, Jeffrey Lichman, announced plans to appeal against the verdict, even as prosecutors welcomed the ruling.
This case was simply an inquisition. It was a show trial, and how it ended is exactly perfect for that description. All we had asked for at the beginning was a fair trial. I'm not here to tell you that Joaquin Guzman is a saint. I'm not here to tell you that what occurred, that the witnesses were unusual than any other American trial. All we asked for was fairness. And no matter what you think of Joaquin Guzman, he still deserves a fair trial.
This sentence is significant and it is well deserved. It means that never again will Guzman pour poison over our borders, making billions while innocent lives are lost to drug violence and drug addiction.
Mr. Guzman thought for more than 25 years that he was untouchable, that there was no problem affecting the Sinaloa cartel, that he couldn't bribe, intimidate, torture, or kill his way out of.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.